be here, but send her love to the St. Jago congregation. Good to see Brother Hyde. Wonderful to have you this morning. I was tempted to change the sermon while I was sitting down here, Brother Hyde. Because when I made the sermon, I know I shared it with Brother Hyde. Brother Hyde, I respect Brother Hyde, I always like to, send things and get feedback from him. Nevertheless, I will continue. Good to see Roseanne. Happy to see you this morning. God be praised to have you in our audience this morning. And as we are here, we just want to consider how good God has been to us. If God has been to you, raise your hand. Let me say something. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. All right. What I want you to do for me is keep your hand raised, and you want to raise it as high as you can. As high. High. Let me see. Is that the highest you think you can get it? Get a little higher for me. That's right, Brother Hyde, Brother Brown. Sister Diane, you're thinking. All right. That's correct. You're not going to put any self-imposed restriction on you. So for those of you who are sitting down and didn't choose to stand, you choose to put some self-imposed restriction on yourself. And that's how it is in life sometimes, We box ourselves. And sometimes we even put God into a box. Not realizing that there is more that God can do for us. And if we only look through our human eyes, sometimes we see the challenges and we see the tribulations and we see roadblocks, not realizing that we can stretch ourselves more than where we are. But have you ever been in a situation where you realize how vulnerable and how exposed you are? When you realize, Sister Brown, how fragile, that your fragility is constantly at the forefront of your mind. Have you ever wanted help, Brother Michael, but felt helpless? Have you ever wanted a solution but found more problems? Have you ever had so many questions but no answers, Sister Andrea? If I was to ask the question on the final resurrection, when we all, for those of us who have died and sleeping, when we rise again, what age will we be restored? Well, some of us may consider that perhaps we will be resurrected at the age that we die. We will look, if I should die as how I am now, that's probably how I will look. For some of us, we believe we may be restored, Brother Hyde, like when we were in our young age, healthy and strong. For others, they may think and continue to think. And we continue to explore in our minds what it could be. But what about babies when they die? In what form will they be resurrected? And while this may take for some of us some time to perhaps try and reference some scriptures and trying to gain, Brother Andre, some spiritual insight, right now for most of us our imagination is buzzing with creative thoughts and ideas trying to figure out the answer. However, Brother Kerry, as much as your imagination may stretch and expand in many areas, it can go so far and no more. As smart as some of us are, Brother Brown, we may think we are limited in our computational power and have a dependence on a higher power. That is why one person expressed, if you don't believe in God, you're a fool. If you don't believe in a higher power, then you need to be thinking, get your head on straight. Because anything in this material world you realize is not eternal. It will not last forever. It has limits. Even what you may consider to be the most durable and strongest of iron and core, it will last for a period of time given certain conditions. And so it can go so far and no more. Diamonds being exposed to increased high temperature will lose its composure and can go so far and no more. The gas in our car can take us so far and no more. You can be rushing to get to worship, realizing how late you are, and Sister Amelia is still packing up her bags to get into the car. And once you're on the highway and you're driving and you're trying to get as fast as you can, Brother Hyde, and you realize that the needle can go as far, so far and no more because you see the policeman down the road. The mother who needs to pay her school fees. She sees the ceiling on her salary. She knows how much income she's generating and realizes the grocery bills have to be paid. She realized that the light bill perhaps needs to be paid. She realized she has the water bill to be paid. She realized she has the children's school fees to be paid. And the money that she has can go so far and no more. Sometimes the medication and the physical therapy that we have to go through can do so far and no more. There are inherent constraints and weaknesses that characterize us as humans being church. These are known as our human limitations. And as humans, we are limited in our knowledge. We are limited in our physical strength. We are limited in our time on this earth. We don't know everything. Our bones can break. Our muscles and our ligaments can tear. I discovered this at Sports Day this year. But Psalms 103 verse 14 tells us, for he knows our frame. He is mindful that we are dust, brothers and sisters. So no matter what the limitations that we face, we know that there is a higher being and a higher power who understands and who knows all and sees all. We as human beings was created to serve the Creator. We as human beings are fragile and have a lifespan on this earth. And so while we are here, it is our duty, church, to understand what is the will of God. And our duty is how can we serve him to the best of our ability. We have a clock. Because Hebrews 9 and verse 27, Sister Andrea tells us, for it's appointed unto man once to die, and after that to face the judgment. So Brother Guthrie, no matter how much gym work, no matter how much healthy food you're going to eat, not saying that healthy food is not needed and gym work is not needed. No matter how much plastic surgery you're going to do, no matter how much makeup you're going to put on, Sister Mac, there is so far and no more that our body will last. And so when we look at Job, which was read this morning by Brother Michael, Job, the 38th chapter. Job was a man who the Bible said fear God. Some translations say that's true. Some says he stayed away from evil. He was upright. Yet despite his upright living, church, he found himself suffering immensely. Job 14 verse 1 says, man born of a woman is a few days, but is full of trouble. Because in this life, church, if it's one thing we've got to be aware of and get certain is that in this life there will be tribulations, church. In this life we will face trouble, church. And that's why Jesus said in John 14, I believe, he said that, guess what? Believe in me because I have overcome. Yet Job, despite his upright living, he found himself suffering. In one day, church, he tragically lost his possession, his flocks and his herd. He also lost his people, his servants, his family, 7 sons and his 3 daughters. And in another day, church, he lost his physical health. He had painful sores from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head. And to make matters worse, church, he also lost the consolation of his wife and the confidence of his friends. One of them said, why hold on to your integrity? Curse God and die. Imagine that the only thing that Job had was his belief that he didn't do anything wrong. That's all Job had, Sister Valerie. That sometimes persons will come with persecution at your doorsteps. They will say all manner of evil against you and say this and say that. And the only thing that you have to hold on to is your integrity, your own words. Job, wife, told him, curse God and die. His miserable comforters, his friends, they told him, no one who is innocent has ever perished, nor the upright destroyed. And during these dark moments in Job's life, he began to question, why was I born? Why am I born to go through this kind of suffering? He began to question and wonder, what is the lesson in all of this that I am going through? And sometimes in our life, when we go through the suffering and the challenges, we are like Job sometimes. But we've got to hold on. And hold on, church, to God's unchanging hand. He wondered, what have I done to be your target? I want me to do you, God. With all these accusations from Job's friend, that he must have done something, that God doesn't just let righteous people suffer, Brother Andre. It seemed that it got to Job. The pressure and everything that he felt, being all alone, got to him. And so he felt like he wanted Brother Hyde a court case to prove to his friends that he was innocent. Job couldn't understand why he was going through what he was going through. Perhaps to one it felt as if he was being unfairly treated by God. And for some of us, if we're being honest with ourselves, some of us, when we go through certain things, we feel, why am I being unfairly treated? And in chapter 38, God enters the scene, Brother Andre. God comes on the scene and he had to clear up some things to Job. In chapter 38, God makes a grand entrance. And we know the imagery when God comes on the scene, church. It's a commanding presence. It's noticeable. It's a position of authority, church. He said to Job, who is making hazy my plans? Who is obscuring the thoughts of my plans, he said, church. Who is messing up my plans with foolish words? Because you don't know what you are talking about. There are many people, church, who want to talk for God, who feel like they are God's lawyer in certain situations, like they know the thoughts of God, like they can be like God, church. But we got to understand, church, just like in Romans 11:33-36, that tells us, oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and the knowledge of God, church. How deep is his wisdom and his knowledge, church. How unsearchable his judgments, church. And his paths beyond tracing out. None of us here, church, dusty-eyed man, can think like God and can understand fully the mind of God. Verse 34 says, who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who has been his counselor? Who has ever given to God that God should repay them, church? And for him, and through him, and for him, church, all things to him be glory forever and ever. Amen. Don't try to make God out to be who you want him to be, church. But accept him for who he has revealed himself to be, church. Let's not play God. And let's not think that we are wiser and smarter than God. And so if God has set something in place, church, let us respect it, church. Let us accept it, church. And realize that the things that God has put us through, he has given us sufficient strength to bear everything that we must face, church. He has equipped us with all that we need, church, to be able to withstand and to be counted worthy on the day of judgment, church. Don't try to make God out to be who you want him to be. God is who he has revealed himself to be. Everything we want to change it based on how we feel. Even ourselves, we are trying to change, church. Some say, I feel like I'm a girl. But let me leave that one alone for today. If we're going to go by our feelings, church, then there's going to be chaos. Because today I feel, Brother Andy, for ice cream. And tomorrow, not even come, I feel like I want to change that order. But back to the main passage. Job, God was reminded Job of his humanity. God was reminded Job, Jordan, that he had limitation, that he was only human. He begins to show Job that it is I, the Almighty. It is I, the supreme intellectual being, the creator of all things, that has put all things in place, and in the order of my divine purpose, I've set things in motion. And so none of us here was there when God created the heaven and the earth. None of us was there when God created time. None of us was there when God created space and energy, church. And when he set in things, the motion of nature, and put them in order. And when he put the boundary of the ocean waves and said, so far and no more. So far you may go and no more. So far indicates a specific point or distance reach. And no more means firmly establish that there is a limit. A further progress is prohibited. No more means that there is firmly established that there is what, church? A limit, thank you. A limit. It means that there is a block. That means that there is a line that when you reach that point, no further progress is going to be allowed. Boundary line that marks a limit of an area. A limit is a point or a level beyond which something does not or may not extend or pass. A restriction on the size or amount of something permissible or possible. And God has put certain boundaries and limits in place, church, and they serve his purpose. He has placed them in our lives as part of our life journey. And the sooner we face this church, the sooner we accept this church, and the sooner we respect it, church, then we realize how far we can go. FAR, face the limitation, accept the limitation, and respect the limitation. He has placed them in our life. And if we fail to observe our limits, church, we may compromise ourselves and be limited in what we have to offer the Lord and what we have to offer other people. When we understand, church, the concept of setting boundaries, as we do this in our daily lives, we do it, church. We set boundaries. We set boundaries as parents with our children. We set boundaries as in our relationships with our family. We set boundaries with our friends, our co-workers, and even with strangers. we let them know that there are certain boundaries. Because setting boundaries is important for fostering healthy habits in relationships. It provides structure. It provides security. It provides the ability to understand expectations, to manage expectations. What the consequences are. In a parent-child relationship, the child may not understand why every boundary is set. I set on my children's devices when they were younger, even though some of them still have it. They have what we call limited screen time. It means that for a particular